Hello, neighbor. Welcome to Shortmeadow. Come on in and I'll give you a tour. I'm Jim Hawk. I'm co-owner of Shortmeadow with my spouse, Tony Teal, and director of the Shortmeadow 37206 project. I first became interested in native plants and trees, particularly native wildflowers, shortly after we moved here to Shortmeadow about 20 years ago. I'm not sure what drew me to those wildflowers, but I began planting them regularly throughout our property. Uh, Sometime between then and COVID, I became interested not just with planting flowers, but how to design a garden. And over the period between COVID and the last couple of years, I've really been thinking intentionally about what a garden can be, the function it can serve, and how it can be used to inspire others and promote a flourishing within my own life and within the life of the guests who come and visit. This is the entryway to our sanctuary. It hasn't changed much in the last 20 years. The big difference has been that when we got here and moved in, there was really a pathway into the house. And if you look closely, you could see a few bricks. And then back here, we couldn't see anything at all. And what we quickly discovered within the first few years of living here is that there was a beautiful brick sidewalk buried beneath the mud and the guck and the grasses that we had to excavate. And so this sidewalk was actually here from the beginning. We've gone ahead and made it, improved it, but it has been here this entire time. The entrance to the garden is going to undergo some major changes. What I'm planning to do, and you'll be able to watch in future episodes, is that we're going to recenter the entranceway side to the middle of this strip of land. And then we're going to build a framed entrance with a door and move the sidewalk over so that it is actually in the middle. Now, I've already started working on this. On this side, you'll notice that we put in a row of oak leaf hydrangea, native plant, and a stone wall. This is so that we can begin the process of capturing the rainwater that comes off of our neighbor's house and make sure that it flows freely into the backyard while having a nice, clean, safe path for people to walk. On this side, we will continue working with the wild violets, which are quite restricted. They're a plant that grows very rapidly and expands as far as it can. So having them between the house and the walkway is a nice way to keep them confined and not expanding into other areas. Tony and I moved to Shortmeadow a little over 20 years ago. Shortmeadow is a Victorian house that sits on property approximately 50 square feet wide by 170 feet long. We're located in East Nashville's historic Edgeville neighborhood. This is an urban setting and a place where we have really loved to be for almost 25 years now. I've really started talking about this garden in terms of rows. Now, that's not really necessary for every garden, but it seems appropriate for this one. So if you just came through the entrance, you're now in the foyer, or foyer. This is the place that once people come through the door, they stop, they pause, they may remove their shoes, or in a house they may remove their shoes or take off their coat. The foyer in this garden is a place to stop and prepare for what comes next. When the brick sidewalk was initially installed, it was installed in a straight line from the front porch the whole way back to the garden proper. What happened a few years ago was that I noticed bricks were disappearing from the sidewalk, and then a hole appeared at the ground. And I was very concerned about a sinkhole. But we are in a neighborhood that was built before water service came. And so what we discovered was that there was actually a cistern buried beneath the sidewalk. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the cistern, it's not a septic tank. A cistern instead collects water off the roof of Victorian homes and gathers the water so that it can be used for washing clothes, flushing the toilet, even watering the flowers. And so what we decided to do was to fill it in to about the 5-foot mark. And we're going to turn it into a water feature. So there'll be a nice waterfall that as people come into the space, they stop, they hear the water falling down into a pond, and that pond won't be a koi pond. It'll be a pond filled with the native Tennessee bluegill fish. And so keeping our desire for this to be a native wildflower sanctuary, we'll also have native fish living here as well. In future episodes, we're going to talk a little bit more about the cistern and show you how we convert it into a water feature. One thing that you should know about me is that I have no formal training as a horticulturalist, a landscaper, or a garden designer. Everything that is happening here comes from three things, I think. My passion for seeing native plants and trees, insects, birds, and animals, and human beings flourish. And from my willingness to learn and to take risks, to think outside the box about what a garden could and should be. Immediately off the foyer is the living room. And our living room has many different parts. It has a sitting area for people to enjoy drinks and conversation, a dining area where people can sit around the table to eat, to talk, and to play games. And it also has a small theater-like seating area for outdoor movie nights. Surrounding all of these areas is a meadow, and we've really worked hard to include as many different varieties of native plants as possible. Shortmeadow has over 45 different varieties of native plants and trees. In the coming episodes, I am looking forward to sharing with you as many of these as possible so that you have the opportunity to explore if one of these varieties would work well in your native wildflower garden. Just beyond the sitting area in our living room is our newly established kitchen. Now, I don't want to take this metaphor of rooms too seriously, but the reason I call this my kitchen is because this is the place that I get my seeds and my plants ready to go out into the garden. Come on along, I'll show you. I built this potting table and shelving a few years back and had it in a very public place toward the back of the yard. What I realized was it really detracted from the garden, and so earlier this year I took the end of the fence, which was basically just a dead end, and expanded it so that it really comes up to my front yard. And these tables from here are great for me to work on, but for my front yard, they just look like a regular fence. On the surface, the Shortmeadow 37206 project is about creating a garden, an urban native wildflower sanctuary. But at a deeper level, it's about so much more than that. It's about creating a safe space where all of life can flourish. And that includes human beings. And so we will continue this channel. We will introduce garden parties and tours, and we'll also be offering workshops and retreats so that together human beings can explore what it means to thrive in the midst of the daily grind. Immediately opposite the kitchen is our meditation chapel and learning center. The meditation chapel was really the first structure that we created here at Shortmeadow. I think it's now 15 years old, but we find this to be a great place where we can come to meet friends, enjoy meals, focus our hearts and minds, and just have conversations, great conversations. Now, you could easily be forgiven for thinking that that's all the garden there is. But just to the left of the meditation chapel and learning center, there is a secret path that leads to our newly developing woodland area. This is the space where we hope to be able to introduce woodland flowers that thrive under these conditions. So let's go on in and take a look at some of the highlights of this garden. Tony and I both have Scottish and Irish ancestry. And so after a recent visit to the Scottish Highlands, I decided that it would be important for us in this woodland area to try to reflect some of that heritage that we saw in the Highlands of Scotland. And so as you cross over the bridge into the woodlands, you'll immediately see a little cairn. This cairn we created to acknowledge a dear friend of ours who died several years ago, wanting him to be part of this wonderful creation that he really inspired. We really want to instill a sense of wonder and play in this little woodland area. Looking back at our Scottish heritage, we learned about the fairies who lived in the woods. So we encourage you to look around to see if you see any fairies living in these woods these days. You never know what you might find hidden in the woodlands. We had a crepe myrtle tree die earlier this year, and I decided to take it down and take the limbs from that tree and really put them back here against the fence so that I can begin planting some of the vines that we have growing in our woods so that we can see the different types of vines and really see how they grow in this place. As we continue through the woodlands, we come into a clearing. This clearing is temporary. It is a place where I've done some planting already, but hope to do some more. You can see that I've already planted in a new maple tree, and behind that is a hemlock that's been here for over 20 years. I'm going to put in some more bushes and shrubs and maybe another tree just to make this area a place that is truly a woodland. As we come on into the back of the woodlands, we see a structure covered with American bittersweet. If we notice on the top of it, we see that it is a raised bed for wildflowers and grasses. But underneath it, once we get through all of the bittersweet, we see that it is a place where we can relax. This is the area where we used to have my potting table and shelf. But I realized one day when I was trying to relax on the swing behind you and realized that it's not very peaceful and calm to have that potting table sitting there. It really made me just want to do more work. And so this spring, we took the table, we took the shelving, and we moved it into the new kitchen so that when I go to that space, I'm actually going to do work. And back here, we're going to transform this area. Now, we've already laid down cardboard. We've laid down the black plastic. It's been a couple of weeks. And what those are doing are killing off all the weeds and the grasses in this immediate area. This spring, what we're going to do is create a fernery. A fernery where we can showcase the many different ferns that are native to Tennessee. But it's not just going to be a fernery. I'm going to try to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to try to create a sculpture. I decided that I would love to see back here a green man sleeping against an old, rotting, dead tree trunk. I want to create that, and I want to cover it in moss so that there's something enjoyable to look at as I'm sitting on this swing. A giant green man will be sleeping here in the midst of all the ferns, and I hope it feels like he's been sleeping here for hundreds and hundreds of years. So if you are a sculptor and you want to give me some points, I welcome that. If you are a lover of the Green Man stories, I would love to hear some of those in the comment box as well. So please share those as you are able. I'm really looking forward to this YouTube series because I hope that through these efforts, you will be inspired to create your own native wildflower sanctuary. But just as importantly, I hope that we'll be able to form some sort of community, an online community, where we can share with one another, regardless of our level of experience. I want this to be a place where people can feel free to ask questions, as well as share their ideas about gardening and using native plants and trees. I really hope that some of you who have experience in different parts of gardening are willing to share your constructive criticism with them, because I still feel like I'm a beginner gardener, and I would value all of your wisdom and your knowledge to help me become a better gardener, and also all of our viewers. Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you back here in Shortmeadow soon.